Hey good people, welcome back to Beauty and the Frizz. My name is Cara. Whether you're new or returning, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me for another mimosas and makeup. I'm excited to be doing my February roundup, and I have used so many palettes this month that I'm just doing the palettes today. So if you want to hear about all the eyeshadow palettes that I used in the month of February, keep on watching this video. Let me know what you think. And if makeup is your therapy and your love, if it makes you happy and you want to hang out with someone that feels the same way, definitely consider joining the community. I'd love to have you back. All right, let's get started. So how are you? Did I say it's mimosas and makeup? I don't know if I did. I don't have a mimosa, but I might have one in the chat when this goes up. I just got back from my sister's. We celebrated my dad's birthday, so it was a good swim. But now I'm in makeup mode, eyeshadow mode, and I'm sure. Was really excited to look at my February basket, which was overflowing, and most of the things that were in that basket were things that were already existing in my collection, and I was really happy about that. So I'm going to split this video into two parts because it was just going to be way too long for me to film at one time. And today we are just going to talk all about the eyeshadow palettes that I used in February. And I'm really excited to share my thoughts on them, how I'm still feeling about the ones that have been in my collection and the new ones that I've tried. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let me know how you're doing in the comment section or the chat, whichever you prefer. You know, I'd love to hear it. All right, let's get started. We're gonna start with probably the only what I would consider a fail for the month of February. I wouldn't say it's a fail, but I could have passed on even purchasing this. This was a Macari find, and this is the Self Illusion palette from Byredo. I was attracted to this because I had some credits on Macari, and I got this and one of the lipsticks for like 35 bucks total. And I was really excited to try it because I've heard some really great things about Byredo, especially the bigger palettes. This palette, I think it has a pretty cool color story because it's warm and then cool, but the formula was just okay. The look that I did was also just okay. I didn't find anything spectacular about this formula, and I don't know, I just could have done without it. So I'm not sure if this is gonna stay in my collection. It probably won't. I have heard that these nugget palettes can be kind of hit or miss, and that the bigger palettes a lot of people really like. So I think I'm just gonna wait and see what kind of color story they will come out with if they release a bigger palette this year. But I'm gonna stay away from these small ones. I'm glad to have tried it, but it definitely was a miss for me. Next, I'm gonna talk about two palettes from Dior. The first one is one of my babies. It's Red Tartan, and this was one of their velvet quints that came out. I think this is probably the same formula as this newer formula that Dior has with their quints, where they don't have the talc. I think they're using like I want to say cornstarch, but I don't think it's cornstarch. It's something, I can't remember. The bottom line is I love this palette. I think this is a great one. I don't think it is available anymore. I think there is one called Red Tartan, but the colors are a little bit different. I really do love red eyeshadow, and I love the ease of the quints. The mattes blend out really, really well. And this is one where you might just pick one or two colors and you can come out with a couple different looks with this quint. But I'm always happy to use Red Tartan. It's one of my babies. I have another Dior palette. Now this one I got on Macari. This one is like $130, but I did not pay that on Macari. This is the Mensa edition of their 10 Colors eyeshadow palette. This is another really easy palette to use. It is really good for the eyes and face. It's definitely pink heavy, so if you don't like pink, you wouldn't like this. I think for the price that I got it for, which was about 80 bucks, I mean, it's definitely not worth 130. But I didn't mind paying 80 bucks for it because I have blushes here, I have highlighters. The eyeshadows look nice, they blend really well. I've used this a couple of times at this point. I have not filmed with it. It's just a really easygoing palette. So It's a color story that I could definitely wear every day, and you can have it be more pink leaning, or you can really like play up these browns. So it's a really good one. Now the Dior eyeshadow formula, you're not going to get like these really sparkly shimmers or anything like that. You're for the most part going to get the satin shimmers. The mattes really blend themselves. So I'm always really happy with the ease of the Quince and these larger palettes. I have the Blooming Boudoir one as well. I think that's what it's called. But I like these. So it wasn't something that was on my initial list to ever purchase. But when I saw it on Mercari for the price, I was like, yeah, I want to try it. Huh? Okay. Get your, you know. No. So that's what I use from Dior. Next, I have my Nomad Ghost Town USA palette. Y'all, oh my gosh. Why am I still waiting on the new palette? That's why my video's not up. And I was thinking it would be here today and I could start working on it, but it's not here. So I am going to message them and just see if they have a tracking number so I can just have an idea. But I wanted to pull this out because I hadn't used it since the video, but this was a palette that really stuck in my head after using it. It was one of my favorites from 2023. And I just think Nomad really stepped up their game last year as well. So I wanted to do a Do We Still Love Her with this palette. I definitely do. I think this is just one of their best. This might be sold out at this time, and I'm hoping that they will bring it back. This is probably the most unique cool tone palette in my collection. I love how it's laid out with the columns of shimmers and mattes, and the color story is really cohesive. You know, if you could look at them as like little six pants in a way. So, except right here, but that's okay. Love this palette, love the looks every single time. And I think this is probably, I don't know, maybe one of my top 3 from Nomad. Next, I have, which I call my Bordeaux palette. This is a palette that I created from Lethal Cosmetics and their palette designer. I did do a video on this, and I do have 2 more palettes that I created with Lethal that I never filmed with, but I love the palettes that I've created. I mean, this for me is an everyday color story, and I just love how you have these beautiful, just kind of neutral mattes, but you've got some special shimmers in here. I just love this. If I want to do a look and I just have to just grab something and figure something out, this is oftentimes, this one and Biba. These are the ones that I will just grab because I know it's like a guaranteed easy look. And it's just one of my favorites, probably because I created the color story, but I love this palette so much. I was getting the itch to like create a new one, like maybe a 9 pan, because Lethal has some new, I want to say multi-chromes. I don't know if they're hollow chromes. I hope they're not. I can't remember. I'm just going to get on and play. I love the palette designer that Lethal Cosmetics has, but it's kind of dangerous because making your own palette with them it can be really pricier than their palettes that they have pre-made. So you have to be really careful. But I did make 3 of them and I really enjoy all 3. So that's my Bordeaux palette. Ooh, okay. So next I have my BYOP palette, and this was my Positive Vibes palette for the month of February. I am using one of my old KKW Beauty components, and I just love that they were magnetic because I can just put my little 10 pans in here. I really loved this palette. Cool tones have been really making me happy. Gray duochromes really make me happy. Sydney Grace mattes make me happy. So that's all of what's in this palette. We've got some really beautiful shimmers in here from Terra Moons, from Glam Shop, and I think that's it. Terra Moons and Glam Shop. And it just really made a nice color story. And I think I did 2 looks and I really enjoyed them. So I love my BYOP palettes as well. Ooh, okay. We have the Chocolate Martini palette here from Glamlite. And this is another one that's really good. And I did this to complement a fragrance from Imaginary Authors. It was an espresso martini. So not quite chocolate martini, but the fragrance had some notes of dark chocolate in it. And I just pulled this one out. I kind of wanted to just check on it, see how I felt about it because I've had it for a while. But I think this is such a really cute neutral palette because you've got these neutrals, but you have these really cute pops, but it's not too outrageous. And Glamlite has a really great eyeshadow formula, mattes and shimmers. So still glad to have this one in my collection. Ooh, y'all, okay. Next, we have the Myth palette from Lisa Eldridge. I'm actually wearing Vega today, so I'm gonna be doing looks with Vega and Sorcery. So those should be coming up soon. But I found Myth on Macari. This is another Macari find. You know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. No, I don't say trash, but you know, I love that makeup can be rehomed. I did purchase this brand new. Absolutely love this one. I really do. Never really thought too much about it when it released. You know, it was really the Sorcery one that I felt like everybody really wanted to try. But Vega was definitely sought after. It was one that sold out. I'm not sure about Myth, but I really love the formulas in here, especially those velvet mattes, and there are 4 of them in here. The velvet mattes are like the Natasha Denona cream to powder shadows. So if you like those, you would definitely love the Lisa Eldridge velvet shades. I just think they blend so beautifully, and I just love the finish of them. I love how you don't think you're gonna pick up a lot on the brush, but you really do. But the way they go on the eyes is very soft and buildable. And that's what I really like about these palettes. I heard that she's gonna be coming out with more eyeshadow, so I'm gonna keep my eyes peeled for that. I would be interested in other color stories that she would decide to come out with. So we will keep our eyes open for that, but that is the Myth palette. I really, really like this. And next we have 2 palettes from my guy, Thomas Ford. All right, so we have Après Ski. So this is one that I've had. I got it VIB, last VIB. And this is just a palette of one and done shades. You are not gonna get a whole lot of variety here. I did wear this on my birthday weekend when I went with my sister, and I just used like 2 shades, like the peachy light color and then the peachy color. And this is the wet dry formula. I mean, this is not one where you're gonna use all of the shades and think you're gonna be getting something different. The formula is really nice. The shimmers are really beautiful, but this is a light wash of color, and that's it. That's all you're gonna get with this one, but I really like it. I really do. Sometimes I'm in the mood for just something soft and simple, and that's what this gives. I also have the Electric Cherry Quad, and I found this on the CCO online store, and I think it might have been like 40 bucks, something like that. Now, you know, Tom Ford came out with the Electric Cherry scent, and then there's a Cherry Smoke Quad and a Cherry Smoke fragrance. I don't have Electric Cherry though. And I don't know, his cherry scents just don't last really long, but they smell great. So I did do a little cute look with this. I can't remember what it was for, but I did wear it to work. I didn't film it. But again, we have the wet dry formula, shows up very nicely. It's just one that you're not gonna get a lot of variety with. So the fewer shades you use, the better. But I like it. I like Thomas. So I can't like him too much, but because of the expense. But when I can get the Tom Ford quads on sale, that I think they're definitely worth the price on sale, especially from the CCO, because I was able to get 3 more of his quads, and they were like 38 bucks each, and you know they run $90. So yeah, definitely not worth $90 for the 4 shades, but $30–40 I think is really reasonable, and that's what I usually pay for the Tom Ford quads that I have. I have 2 palettes here from Sydney Grace. Well, let's talk about Enduring Love first. Enduring Love is a cool tone palette that, I don't know, it's one of my first cool tone palettes, and I really enjoy this one. I will always make a big deal about having it in the square pans, because now it comes in the circle pans. I love square pans, but I use this because I was trying to dupe a Chanel quad that I ended up getting, and it was the Eclat de Nuit, and I was looking for like kind of those gunmetal-y, antique-y type shades, and I thought I could find that, which I did in Enduring Love. You know, these kind of mushroomy colors, the shade here, and I made a really pretty look. I really still do love this palette a lot, and it's one that, or I can remember when I looked at this palette and didn't think much of it. Mel Thompson really changed my mind on that, and it's been history. So I love this palette. I will always love it, and was glad to pull it out. Glad I'm still pulling it out. And in addition to that, I have Love's Journey, which came out in 2023. This is another really great neutral palette. I mean, this sets you up for both warm and cool looks. And if you know anything about the Sydney Grace formula, it's fantastic. I really like this palette. And if you want to spice this up with some indie singles, you definitely have so many options of mattes to complement the indie singles. So yeah, I love this palette. The Sydney Grace mattes they're just so good. So was happy to pull out Love's Journey and Enduring Love in the month of February. I have two palettes here from Blend Bunny. All right, let's talk about Sugar and Grunge. And you know, Sugar and Grunge is being discontinued because some other brand, I guess, felt like they had the rights to the word grunge. I don't know. She said it's not any brands like that we would really know, so whatever. And I know that they put Sugar and Grunge, I want to say half off, but it's sold out. So I think that's it. So I'm really glad that I decided to purchase this one. I did do a few looks with it. I'm very pleased with this palette. I am really pleased with the layout. You know, I like the gradient. The shimmers are great. The mattes are fantastic. I'm really happy with this palette. And again, I didn't get this when it launched because I just wasn't sure. But I think I got this Black Friday. So yeah, I'm really happy with Sugar and Grunge and really enjoy using it. I think when it comes to blends, that's really my only exception, I think, for the bigger palettes, because I'm really going for small palettes now. But when I think about blends, I'm like, nope, those big palettes, those can stay in my collection. I really like them a lot. And I really like the blend out shades that she includes so that you can soften the edges of your looks and make them look a little more ethereal. I really like that. And I also have here the All Done Up palette that I used. Didn't film this one, not yet, but I definitely plan on using this again. I used the mattes from this with something else. I can't remember, but I know I didn't use the shimmers yet. But this is just an awesome palette, awesome color story, kind of grungy in here, this area, and I really, really like that. And again, I love the blend out shades. I am newer to using the blend out shades. I didn't really understand why light shades were in palettes, but I am starting to figure out how to use them. But this was a great one. Now, this would be my ideal size, you know, for a palette. And I love just the whole idea of All Done Up. Really beautiful. I also have the Major Dimension 2 palette from Patrick Ta. Oh man, the shimmers in this palette are just rough. They're really rough. And I love the mattes. The mattes are so good. The creams are holding up beautifully, but the shimmers are just rough. And I've decided there's really not much that I can do to save them. They are the hard panty type, and that's not my type. And I don't want to have to worry about, oh man, I used my fingers in this and now the shimmer's just going to be messed up. I have so many shimmers where I can use my finger, I can use brushes, and they're fine. But these and the ones from Odin's Eye, they are just, I don't know, they're just not working with me. And part of me just wishes I could just take out these mattes and just keep those and then take the mattes from the Major Dimension 1 and put them all in one palette and just throw these shimmers away because I really don't need them at all. And I get mad when I look at them because I want them, I mean, they're okay, but they're not great shimmers. They're just not. And I really want them to work, but I have so much ease with other shimmers. It's like, why go through the fuss? Fussy makeup, I'm telling you. Why go through it? My baby. Flying Fiddles. Flying Fiddles didn't even get no shine. Now we got the Cyborg Choir coming out. But y'all, Flying Fiddles is it. If you're a neutral makeup lover and you're looking for something that is still a little spicy neutral palette, Flying Fiddles is it. I have done 4 looks total. I just did 2 looks last week, and then I did 2 looks when I filmed the video. And I've liked every look. I've loved them all. And I don't know, I want to see what else I can create, but I just love how you can do neutral looks and looks that really pop. And these are just my types of colors. This is like a nice kind of earthy palette. I really love this version of a neutral palette from Adept Cosmetics. I think it was really smart on their part to release something like this for the makeup lover that wants to try indie but doesn't want all the bright colors or the rainbow ones with the stripes, doesn't know what to do with all that. I think this is a lot more approachable. I mean, there's still like some shimmy shimmers in here, but this palette is perfect for me because I have been getting more into neutrals, but I still like a nice shift. So yes to Flying Fiddles. Love the packaging of this so much with the fabric here. Their palettes are just so well done. I really am into Adept, and I love just seeing what they're gonna come out with. And I'm still intrigued to buy palettes even if they're not my color story, because that's how I feel about the Cyborg Choir. I'm like, I'm really not sure what I wanna do, but I know it's gonna be excellent. And even if I am not 100% sure about the color story, I know whatever I come up with is gonna look good, because that's how their shadows are. They perform really well. Here I have the matte, Cocoa Matte palette from KKW Beauty. Now it does have a couple of changes in here. A couple of mattes are from Sydney Grace, maybe these two, because these two were really light. I did pull this palette out to use with the Skin by Kim matte lipsticks, and it is still performing very, very well. I thought about, you know, taking the shades out and throwing them out, but I was like, for what? Like, they blend really well. They are performing as if I just got this palette. I'm still really happy with it. So was glad to pull this out. Forgot I had it. But yeah, it's still doing really well in my collection. So Cocoa Mattes. This was KKW Beauty. Oh, we have 4 more palettes to go. So let's talk about Bejeweled Eyes to Hypnotize from Charlotte Tilbury. Now I think this video took me a few weeks to do, so I think it crossed over from January into February. I would love to see Charlotte Tilbury come out with another palette in this style. I really liked all 4 looks that I did with this palette. And the thing about it is I did have the one that came out after this, but I ended up selling it. And I didn't like it because one of the trios was just so light. And I was like, who is this for? But this one, oh my gosh, this right here, the Love Glow, I love all 4. So we have Happy Glow, Love Glow, Dream Glow, and Seduce Glow. I love the ease of use with this palette, how you have directions on how to use each shade. I've had this for over a year. It is performing like I just purchased it, and that's what I'm loving to see in my makeup. I have really invested so much money in my makeup collection in such a short period of time. It has not even been 4 years, you know, for me doing YouTube, and my collection is out of control. I have invested so much. So I really do, I mean, I know we have expiration dates, but I really still do get disappointed when I see something not working. And that's why I was really like frustrated about the Odin's Eye, because the Odin's Eye palettes have a long shelf life, like 36 months. And so when my shades get hard panned immediately, or when I pulled out Giant Wolves and a shade had dried up, I was really disappointed, because I'm like, wait, I haven't even had Giant Wolves for the shelf life. So there's just no reason for it. So that's why I've been kind of hanging back from Odin's Eye right now, because I don't want to deal with that. And I feel the same about the Patrick Ta shimmers. So Char, we're waiting on one of these. Her last one had like a green look. I would love to have something with a green look like that again. So yes to Bejeweled Eyes to Hypnotize. Unfortunately, this one is discontinued. And I'm trying to think if any of these other palettes that I shared are discontinued. I think, well, the KKW Beauty palette is definitely discontinued. I am not sure if the Glamlite Chocolate Martini palette is still available, but everything else I think is still available. Sugar and Grunge is going to be discontinued very soon. I think that Ghost Town USA is sold out, but I think that one will be coming back. The last 3 palettes we're gonna talk about are from my girl, Tasha, who I'm really feeling like Natasha Denona is my true favorite brand. And the reason that I say that is when I have to just get ready for work, if I'm not filming and I just want something that I know is gonna look great, it's not gonna get me in trouble, nice shimmers, it's my Natasha Denona palettes. Like I said, I go for Biba a lot. I do go for the lethal palettes that I make, but when it comes to Natasha Denona, I mean, I have so many choices. I have so many of her palettes. And I did just use the Yucca palette, the Xenon palette, and the Pastel palette for some inspired by fragrance eyeshadow looks. So I will be talking about those in the March roundup. I was just really happy to play with those palettes. She has got an incredible eyeshadow formula, and I want to get more into using my Natasha palettes. So in February, I did do a look with the I Need a Nude palette. It might have been a Do We Still Love Her, because this wasn't, oh shoot, where's my, well, I must have used some shades in a Build Your Own palette. I must have. But I didn't see the hype that everybody saw in this palette. I know it was compared to the, I think it was called Ethereal Eyes from Makeup by Mario. I didn't see the hype with this, but I kind of do now. I mean, it's just really easy. It's not a palette for everybody, you know, as far as complexion. This isn't my favorite Natasha Denona palette, but I've done some nice looks like with this one. So I really don't have any complaints. Same great Natasha Denona formula. One of the shades that's missing is Silhouette. It's a deep brown. I love to use that one in this palette. And Wit, I'm not sure what color that was. And I need to find my palette or my shades. I need to find them. They're definitely nearby. I don't hate this palette though, and I will continue to use it. It's just not my favorite Natasha Denona palette, but it's still a really good palette. Next we have the Retro palette. Wore this to work too in the month of February. And this is another really good one. I don't think I've worn this one since I filmed the video. So, you know, I really do like to come back and play with the palettes, especially if I'm filming something for a video. I don't want to say it's rushed, not for the video, but it's usually rushed because I'm getting ready for work. But when I just get up in the morning and just do a look and I'm not filming and I'm not looking at my watch, it's just such a fun experience and an easy experience, an enjoyable experience to use the Natasha Denona eyeshadows. I don't know. I don't think I've ever had a problem with anything. So this is another really, really nice palette. Not the same color story as the Dior, but it's just one of those palettes that have an easy color story that you're going to just put something together and it's just going to work. Okay, they really don't look the same at all. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's cohesive is what. Pretend I didn't even pick this up. I don't know how I picked that up. But this one, I mean, you're going to put colors together and they're going to work. There's no pops that just aren't going to work in this palette. So I really enjoy using Retro again. And we're going to end this roundup with my love to hate Natasha Denona Glam palette. And this was a palette that I had and I ended up dismantling the shades. I don't know what I did with them. I probably put them in melt palettes or something, which those might end up eventually being decluttered. But I ended up repurchasing Glam when I got into cool tones. So you will see it barely looks used. But I did pull this palette out in February to do just a little quick look for work that I didn't film. And I was like, this is actually really cute. It almost looks like a look I could have gotten from this Lisa Eldridge palette, the Vega palette. I definitely could have made something along the lines of this look. Not so gray, because I did use a gray. But you know what I'm saying? These cool tone browns, I'm really liking them. These kind of mushroomy shades, I'm really getting into them. So I am also happy to have Glam in my eyeshadow arsenal. Out of all the palettes that I used this month, let's think about which ones were new to my collection. The Dior palette is definitely new to my collection. Flying Fiddles is a new release and new to my collection. The Dior palette isn't really a new release, but it's new to my collection. The Lisa Eldridge Myth palette is not a new release, but it's new to my collection. Tom Ford Electric Cherry is new to my collection. When I'm saying new, I'm talking about like the past like month or so. The blends palettes are newer to my collection. I know I purchased this in 2023. I can't remember if I got this in the same order, and everything else was already existing in my collection. overall, I feel really happy about the balance with the eyeshadow palettes, because there was a time not that long ago where I was really inundated with palettes and it was starting to feel rushed and not fun. And I don't want to fall back into that. And there was also a time where I was purchasing palettes just because I felt like I should be purchasing them. Like the Odin's Eye, you know, I really do like Tina the Fancy Face, and I really like Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner. But I'm like, I support them by watching their channels, you know. It's not always about purchasing things, but I do show support in other ways. So, you know, I started to feel like, oh, I really want to support them. But I'm like, Cara, these palettes aren't necessarily working for you anymore. So, you know, I don't know if that is wise, you know, to purchase them. So I just kind of had to have a chat with myself about that, because we like different content creators and we do want to show our support, because, you know, we're happy and they all deserve the collabs that they have. But, you know, we do support our content creators in other ways. So I'm glad to be pulling back a little bit from the palettes, because it's really showing me like how good some of the palettes are that are in my collection. So I'm really happy about that type of reflection, and I hope I continue. I think my issue is that some of the things I'm leaning towards right now are on the expensive side. So even though I'm pulling back in one end, some of the things that I do purchase are still, you know, pricey. So it takes a bit of like balancing, you know, with the purchases. But overall, I am happy to be going back into my collection, shopping my stash, and hopefully, even if you don't have all of these palettes or even a fraction of them, hopefully it jogged your memory about something in your collection that you would like to pull out and use and give another chance, something that you may have forgotten about. For me, it can be easy to forget. So that is going to be part 1 of the February roundup. So part 2 will have everything else: lipsticks, blushes, maybe even a couple of fragrances. I got some things from Bath and Body Works. So I will have another video up soon with everything else that I use in the month of February. And I really like doing these kind of speed reviews. It kind of shows me what I'm gravitating towards, what I'm reaching for. So I like all that like analytical stuff. So I like really coming back and revisiting what I use for the month. All right, I'm gonna let y'all go. And definitely list some of your favorites for February, or even some of your favorites for now. The reason why I remember everything is because I put everything in a basket. So just share some of your favorites that you're using right now. And that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for taking out some of your time and hanging out with me for another Mimosas and Makeup. I hope this was therapy for you. You know it always is for me. And until I see you again, make sure you're being gentle with yourself. Talk to yourself nice. Stay safe. And I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.
Go on, blow up your ego.